Выстрел!
Shot, cannon.
The position of the Ukrainian military near Bakhmut. The shelling of enemy infantry is carried out from the Soviet D-30 howitzer. The firing range of the gun is more than 15 kilometers. You have to adjust the fire during the battle and spend more shells, admits the commander of the unit, Dmitro.
Для нас було би ідеально.
It would be ideal for us to be supplied with samples of Western weapons that hit at a long distance, so that we could destroy their warehouses with ammunition on the approaches to our positions, respectively their own command posts which are located in the depths. We can't reach it with our cannon.
Artillerymen say they are now in desperate need of ammunition for defense. More than a month ago, the countries of the European Union agreed to a common purchase of 1 million shells for the Ukrainian armed forces. The accelerated procedure was adopted at the meeting of the Ministers of Foreign Affairs and Defense in Brussels. EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Josep Borrell, said at that time that he had received approval for his proposal to allocate the first tranche of 1 billion euros from the European Peace Fund for the joint purchase of ammunition.
I will explain to the leaders of the agreement to provide ammunition to Ukraine. They discussed that on the last UCO. Estonia made a proposal. I was tasked to implement this proposal, and at this UCO I will have the chance and the honor to present to the leaders our proposal to provide ammunition to Ukraine. You know, 1 million shots in 12 months, 2 billion euros.
April 20th, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine Dmytro Kuleba criticized the EU on his Twitter and wrote that the members of the bloc did not come to a joint decision on how to implement the announced plan for the supply of shells to Ukraine.
The inability of the EU to implement its own decision on the joint procurement of ammunition for Ukraine is frustrating. This is a test of whether the EU has strategic autonomy in making new crucial security decisions. For Ukraine, the cost of inaction is measured in human lives. Dmytro Kuleba, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, on Twitter.
Politico found out that negotiations are deadlocked over how to spend the 1 billion euros allocated for joint contracts.
The main point of contention in the ammunition purchase talks revolves around how much to restrict the money to EU manufacturers and whether to include companies in places like the US and UK. France has been leading the charge to keep the money within the bloc, while others, including Poland, fear that Europe's defense industry may not be up to the task of delivering 1 million shells to Ukraine in the promised time frame of 12 months, from an article of Politico.
Petro Oleshchuk, an expert on international politics, believes that when Ukraine counts every shell, then European allies need to forget about bureaucracy and start acting.
In fact, Ukraine does not ask for anything more than what was promised to Ukraine earlier. That is, the European Union has taken on the corresponding obligations, and now the question is whether they will do it anyway. But Ukraine needs them now and never late, when the European Union resolves all bureaucratic issues.
April 21st, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba had a telephone conversation with Josep Borrell, and they discussed the urgent purchase of shells for Ukraine.
I called on Vice President to help finalize discussions on the second joint procurement tranche of 1 billion euros as soon as possible to ensure security in Europe. Dmytro Kuleba, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, on Twitter.
In turn, Borrell stressed on Twitter that the EU is fulfilling its obligations to provide Ukraine with ammunition. According to him, since February 9th, more than 66% of the first promised billion euros has been delivered to Ukraine. Reported by Roman Smoler, Natalia Belokudria, UATV News.